the substance, so to speak. Would you like to comment?
Sure thing. Thanks a lot for the panelists and, of course, the chair for really moderating this esteemed panel. Right to the question of whether sanctioning Hemeti and the RSF would be really helpful, and I do think that the answer is yes. I think one of the reasons, I think Khulud already indicated this, one of the reasons why we continue to see these atrocities is because of the prevalence of, impunity, right? And so we've been trading, justice for political considerations since the transitional government in 2019 to date. And it appeared that these political considerations, right, really, do not work. And so I am really against the fact that governments such as the US, UK, EU, who have tools to go after individuals and entities, right, take these political considerations, especially when we speak of atrocity crimes, right, speaking of genocide. And therefore, I think we definitely should sanction Hemeti and other senior leaders. I genuinely do not believe in the Jeddah peace process. We've seen this, right, for the past year. It didn't work. Instead we continue to see people being killed on a daily basis, and therefore I think sanctions should be one of the most effective tools, and it must be replicated by many states for them to be effective. Then to the question of the RSF, I mean, one of the problems with the international law is that there are really not a lot of, especially with the Geneva Convention, right? The Genocide Convention. There is really no a mechanism to prosecute entities such as the RSF, and so how can we really hold organizations like the RSF accountable? And I think designating such an organization as a terrorist organization will be critical. One of the reasons why the RSF continues to commit atrocities is because of the ability to continue the fight, the ability to purchase weapons. And one of the ways to cut off the RSF from the funding sources to designate it as a terrorist organization. And if I may, I would like to make really, few observations. First, the UN medical researchers estimated death toll of death toll at least 300,000 from the conflict in Darfur between 2003 and 2008. This number continues to be the same until today. And it simply cannot be true, right? We're speaking of 2024. And so there is really no subsequent mortality assessment since then. And therefore, I think this has to be updated immediately. And I'll explain in a bit why. Second, we continue to hear from UN officials, right, until today, that since the April 15, 2023, that 15,000 people have been killed in Sudan. And I question this number as well, because the same UN panel of experts in Sudan said between 10,000 to 15,000 people have been killed in Al Janin and West Darfur alone. And so it is, again, it is, inaccurate to say that the people killed in the context of the current war in Sudan are 15,000. These numbers are critical because one of the reasons why we think stating the at least sort of relative right numbers is to say that, for example, in Nigeria now we see substantial parts of the Masalit have been annihilated. We are not sure how many Masalit members remain in Al Junaina, and therefore I think knowing these numbers would be critical. And finally, what we are seeing in Al-Fashir today is a textbook of what we saw in Al Junaina. right? Basically, the RSF besieging the city, right, imposing conditions meant to destroy the civilian populations, right? And so this is exactly what is happening in Al-Fashir now. It is really a matter of when the civilians of Al-Fashir will face the same fate in Al-Junaynah. One of the reasons why there are we name atrocity crimes as international crimes because these crimes shock our conscience as human beings, right? And therefore, it requires immediate action from the international community, right? Otherwise, it would be pointless for us to determine that there is a genocide, there is war crimes, and crimes against humanity without immediate action and consequence. And therefore, I think the fact that people agree that there are war crimes, crimes against humanity, it should immediately generate, international action. And we failed to do this in the context of Sudan and Darfur in particular. And I think this is shameful, disgraceful. And one final comment. People speak of risk of atrocities in Al-Fashir. We are beyond the risks right now, right? We have already seen, as Yale Humanitarian Lab already indicated, dozens of villages have been burned down completely. This is not risk. We are actually beyond that risk. And I think people need to call what is happening in Darfur for what they are. This is not ethnic cleansing. This is actually genocide. Ethnic cleansing does not have a meaning international law. Basically, it's meaningless, right? And therefore, I think we need to call these atrocities for what they are and urge the international community to act immediately to prevent further atrocities. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mutasim. I wonder if you could perhaps respond to Esther's question, who asked for more details about your mention of a possible case before the International Criminal Court against the UAE.
Just to clarify, I was inviting the public to join us and support us and I expressed our intention to bring this case in the future, near future.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, in the background.